Today's lesson is on 5.3, and the vocabulary that goes along with it is complex fractions. So that is fractions with one or more fractions in the numerator, denominator, or both. And the example I have is 1/3 over 1/2, where there's a fraction in the numerator and in the denominator. So we're going to go over lesson 5.3 on complex fractions. As you watch the video, I'd like you to fill in the work, follow along. The objective is to simplify complex fractions and find unit rates. The Common Core state standards are listed in the mathematical practices. We're going to simplify complex fractions. So we're going to simplify. We have 1/2 over 1/10. The blue box says that you multiply the numerator and the denominator by the multiplicative inverse or the reciprocal. So in your complex fraction, your numerator is 1/2, your denominator is 1/10. You want to multiply the denominator and the numerator by 10 over 1. When you do that, everything in your denominator cancels out to 1. In the numerator, it's just like multiplying fractions. We can cross-cancel the 2 to become a 1, the 10 to become a 5, and we end up with 5 over 1, which is a unit rate, or just 5. Example 2 is -3/8 over 9/24. There's a negative in the problem, so don't forget your negative in your final answer. Our denominator is 9/24, so we want to multiply by 24 over 9. Everything in your denominator cancels out, so we're left with a 1. In your numerator, you can cross-cancel the 8 with the 24. 8 becomes a 1, 24 becomes a 3. You can cross-cancel the 3 and the 9. The 3 becomes a 1, the 9 becomes a 3. We can also simplify going up and down. The 3 with the 3, that's reducing, and we're left with 1. Don't forget your negative, so it's -1 over 1, or just -1. Number 3 says 2/3 over 7. So we have a fraction in the numerator and a 7 in the denominator. We can put the 7 over 1 in the denominator and multiply both the numerator and denominator by 1 over 7. In your denominator, everything cancels out and you're left with a 1. In your numerator, you can't cross-cancel anything, so multiply your numerators together, your denominators together. So we have 2 over 21, which is equal to 2 over 21. Number 4 has a whole number in your numerator and a fraction in your denominator. So we want to multiply by the reciprocal of the denominator. We can put the 14 over 1. Everything in your denominator cancels out, so you're left with 1. In your numerator, you can cross-cancel the 7 with the 14, so you're left with 2 times 9, which is 18 over 1, or just 18. When you have mixed numbers, you need to make them into improper fractions before you can solve them. So our numerator is 4 times 2 plus 1, so it's 9/4, over 4 times 1 plus 3, which gives you 7/4. Now you're going to multiply by the reciprocal of the denominator, so 4 over 7. Everything in your denominator cancels out, so you're left with a denominator of 1. In your numerator, you can cancel out your 4's, so you're left with 7 over 9. 9 over 7 over 1, which rename your improper fraction to a mixed number, so it's 1 2/7. Find unit rates. When the fractions of a complex fraction represent different units, you can find the unit rates. Simplify by using complex fractions and unit rate. Number 1 says Tyler can jog 1 1/3 miles in 1/4 of an hour. Find his average speed in miles per hour. Miles per hour is how you want to set up the complex fraction. 1 1/3 miles over 1/4 of an hour. Since our numerator is a mixed number, we want to change it to an improper fraction. So we do 3 times 1 plus 4 to give us 4/3 miles over 1/4 of an hour. In the blue box, it says multiply numerator and denominator by the reciprocal of the denominator and simplify. We're going to multiply the denominator by its reciprocal of 1/4, which is 4/1, and we're going to do that with our numerator also. In our denominator, everything cancels out, and we are left with 1 hour. In the numerator, we have 4/3 times 4/1. We can't cross cancel anything, so it's 16/3 miles over 1 hour. Well, now we have to convert it back to a mixed number. 3 goes into 16 5 times with 1/3 left over, and that is miles over 1 hour. If Tyler went 1 1/3 miles in 1/4 of an hour, he would go 5 1/3 miles in 1 hour. A truck driver drove 350 miles in 8 3/4 of an hour. What is his speed of the truck in miles per hour? So make sure you put your miles on the top, so that's 350 over your hours, which is 8 3/4 of an hour. We can put our 350 over 1, and we can change our 8 3/4 to 35 over 4. Multiply your denominator by its reciprocal, which is 4 over 35, and your numerator by 4 over 35. We can cross cancel the 35 with the 350, so you're left with 10. Everything in your denominator cancels out, and you're left with a 1. So in your numerator, you have 10 times 4, or 40, so 40 miles over 1 hour. Don't forget your labels. Cassidy can walk 4 1/2 miles in 1 1/2 hours. Find her average speed in miles per hour. So again, we want miles over hours. So 4 1/2 miles over 1 1/2 hours. Change them to improper fractions. So it's 9/2 miles over 3/2 hours. Multiply the numerator and denominator by the reciprocal of the denominator. Cross cancel everything in the denominator, so you're left with 1 hour. In your numerator, you can cross cancel your 2's, so you are left, and you can also cross cancel your 3 with your 9, so you're left with 3 miles and 1 hour.